All right guys, here we are at the boat and we're going to do another project for you, and this project is called high water alarm installation, and it means exactly what it means, and it's something that your boat needs, and in my opinion every boat should have this. So stay tuned and here we go. There are many benefits to having a high water alarm on your boat, and here's just a few of them. It can prevent your boat from sinking. That's number one. If your boat starts to take on water, the high water alarm will alert you to the problem so that you can take action immediately to pump out the water before it's too late. That's number two. And then it can save you money. If your boat sinks, it can be very expensive to repair or replace it. So high water alarm can help you avoid these expenses, giving you early warning before the problem occurs. It also can protect your safety. If your boat starts taking on water, you may not be able to see it or hear it. So the high water alarm will alert you of the problem so you can take action immediately and be safe. All right guys, so here we are. This is the location that I'm going to use to install the little switch panel. In comparison to everything else, this is where we're at, right behind the captain's chair. And then this little switch panel we're going to put in there. So what I did is I measured from this side to this side what I needed, and from here to here. And then what I did is I marked it here with a Sharpie, and then I used a one of those oscillating tools that just cuts into the edges here, and you just do all four edges little by little there until you get it done. You just take your time so that way you don't go over or anything like that. So we're ready to run the wires now from the battery and connect all these wires back inside the bilge there. All right guys, here we are. This is our installation of the Johnson Pump bilge alert high water alarm. We're going to connect this to the boat, and what we are doing here, this layout of the wiring here, because this is one of the things a lot of people are having a lot of trouble to connect this, and they had been calling even Johnson Pump just to get the information. But here's the sensor. This is the sensor that goes in the bilge. So when water gets up high, it goes into this little slot here, then power goes to the switch here, and it makes this alarm sound off. So now what we did here is, this is the sensor. It has two wires. One wire is brown, solid brown. The other one is brown and white. Okay, the brown and white connects to the brown and white coming from the back of the switch here. That's the only one there. Okay, and then the other one, the solid brown, goes to the solid brown on the switch here that comes from the switch. And then the pump has a black and brown, and that one, the black of course, is going to be to your ground, and then the solid brown from the pump goes to this one here. That's all solid brown. Now the only one left over that has this little red tag is where you get the power from your battery, connected here to this wire, and then the negative to the black one here. That's real simple and straightforward. So basically that's the whole wiring that we have. So what happens now, that when I put this on arm, which is all the way in the bottom here, and that means right now there's power going to the sensor, and then when the sensor feels the water coming up, it will sound off the alarm and turn on the bilge pump all at the same time. So we're going to do the installation now, so stay tuned. All right, now that we know how the alarm works and the way I'm going to install it, here we go with the installation and how I did it on my boat. Stay tuned. So now, since we already know what we're going to attach all these wires to, what we're going to need next is a wire. And one of the things I want to tell you about this here, make sure you buy marine wire. Okay, it's a set that comes with the white cover, the jacket, and then two wires inside, and it's rated for marine use. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use one wire. A piece of this here is going to go to the batteries on the boat, and that's going to come to the switch here and connect to the negative and positive. And then we're going to use another piece of the wire again that comes from the white and brown and the solid brown wire that goes directly down to the sensor and pump. And then the pump is going to be connected together with those two wires. You'll see that coming up next. Now my boat has an existing bilge pump. It's been there since I bought the boat. I've changed it a couple of times because they do run bad once in a while. But in this case, I have a good one now with a float switch. And of course, that float switch will turn on the pump when water is detected inside there. But this one that I installed is a secondary pump that it's going to work if that first pump is damaged and it doesn't work for whatever reason. The second pump will pump the water out and alert me that the water went higher than usual. Okay, the other item that everyone should know, always use an inline fuse like this one here that has a cover and it's waterproof, so that way water won't go in it. And then whenever you need it, you just pop this little cover off and you can change the fuse inside there. That you have to have. Between this cable, the battery, you have this, and then from that cable all the way to the system here. Okay, coming up next. All right, we're going to run the cable down here.
Damn, it's already came up.
It's already there?
Yep.
It's perfect. Without with this doesn't fall down. Yeah, and the bay liners, they have this little panel under there. I don't know if you can see it with the darkness in there, but there's a little panel there you can open that really makes it helpful to run the wire from there to the panel, and then from the panel under there into the bilge area. Yeah, so you don't want that one to go back in. All right, we have the wire in the bilge already, and we're going to go to the battery, which is on that side there, to connect the power. All right, I'm going to run the second wire now. It's caught up with something there.
Got it.
You got it? Okay, perfect. Okay, we now have the two wires ran into the bilge, and we're running it to the position that we need the second one now. All right, the next thing we're doing here, we're running the bilge pump hose, which is going to drain on the side of the boat, on the starboard side. We have to make a hole through the hole there, and we just want making sure that we have enough of that plastic hose to go through to this side here. All right, over here what we did is, this is the sensor for the high water alarm, and what I did is I tie wrapped it around the pump, the bilge pump, so that way it stays in place there. And the only thing we're going to do next is we're going to probably use some butyl tape on the back of this part here and stick it on the wall down there in the bilge. I think we're ready to put it down in place, and then put the hose and run the hose out to the side there. All right, here we go. All right, we're using these little connectors that has a little bit of soldering in the middle, and then each end will shrink wrap the wires. We're going to do that next here, and we're ready to shrink wrap it now. And what it does with the heat in the middle, it welds the wire together, and at the same time it shrink wraps the edges so no moisture can get in.
There you go.
Yeah, simple.
Good to go.
All right, guys, the worst part of this whole project wasn't making the hole for the panel, the little switch panel. It wasn't running the wires to where they're supposed to be. It was connecting all the wires together at their places where they needed to be. That was the worst part here. And the second worst is running the hose that comes from the new bilge pump, the secondary one we just added, over to the side where we're going to open the hole for the fitting there, so it overflows overboard. Which one? That one right there. This one? Yes. Oh man, that one fell right next to the Y and the L of bayliner. And then the next one over is like about 8-9 inches to the back of the boat. Okay, we just got to make sure that there's nothing behind here before we make that hole there. All right guys, this is really important. There's things that you have to do here, especially when you're doing holes in the hull of the boat. You have to make sure that there's nothing behind, there's nothing in the way, and that you have space and clearance to be able to install it. So here's what we're looking at right here. We're looking at this space right here and this one that is in there, and right around here there's a wire that comes down, and then we're looking at probably putting it right here. You'll see it on the video that I have there, so you'll see what's behind this here. But remember, you measure 15 times if you have to, and make sure there's nothing 15 times behind there, to make sure you do that hole once, not twice, because you only have one chance to make it. What we did here is we marked the mark. This is the outer part of the fitting that we're going to use here, and more or less we marked the center where we need to start the cut with the drill bit. So we're going to put that right there in the middle, and we're going to start right there now. Okay, what we're doing now, I had my son go up into the engine compartment just to make sure that this hole, the little one with the drill, went through and he could see it inside there. Make sure there's nothing in the way and clear. This is one of the items we use to open that hole through that hole. It's a little set of saw of many different sizes, and I've used this many times. You can see how old it is, and I'll put the link in the description there for it. Okay, what we're using here is 4200 adhesive sealant. We're going to put a nice bead all the way around this little flange here. So that way, once we push it in place there, it'll seal up the hole. And the good thing is that this is going to be above the waterline, not below the waterline, because anything you put below the waterline has to be metal, brass, some sort of metal fitting, through hull fitting. This is a plastic through hull above the waterline, so we don't need anything more than this. And I think that's all we need right here. Just a good bead all the way around. I think I need a little bit more on this side here. And a little bit more is always better than less. You want to be able to seal it tight no matter what, even if it's above the waterline. All right, so we just pushed in and put the plastic nut from the inside, and we have this excess of that sealant coming out on the edges there, so we're going to wipe off the excess with a little rag here. This stuff is really gooey and sticky, so I really don't like working a lot with it because it's really messy. You get a little bit on your fingers and you're done. I think we're perfect there. We get that in there. That should be sufficient. That's right, perfect. Okay, so we got the power, the red power with the inline fuse. So now we're ready for the negative, which is this one right here, the black one. It has a white little tag on there that says negative only. Okay, so that one we're going to put with negative. So the negative with the negative. I think it grabbed. Let's see if it grabbed. Yeah, good enough. Okay. All right, now this is the other wire going to the sensor. So what we did is we used the red for the solid brown that is down there. So red with solid brown here as well at the switch. Then the next one we have left is the brown with white line, and we're using that one on the black one here. So we're going to put those together now. Okay, now this one here is the last wire. The brown with the white line goes to the black one here that we already figured out. So everything is already connected, so we're ready to test it out. Let's see what happens. All right, we just connected the power, the positive to the battery. The negative we already had connected, and we haven't put this back on in there yet because we want to go ahead and test it, and we're going to test it right now. So let's do a test. At the top of the switch it says test, the middle it says off, and the bottom says armed. Okay, when you press the test side, you're just going to get a beep letting you know that the system is working well. So here we go. You heard that? That's pretty loud for me. That's pretty loud. And then when you put it to arm, right there in arm, that's when the pump and the sensor is ready. In case water comes in, it will send a signal to the sound here, and then it will turn on the bilge pump, the additional one we added there. That's the backup. Everything else, it looks like it's working fine, and the test is working good. So we're ready to go ahead and reinstall it into the hole there, and we're almost complete. This thing here, this is what they call butyl tape, and something that is very good to have in a boat, because you can use this to seal just about anything. It's waterproof, and it lasts forever. I think it'll outlast the boat, and you can take it off easy when you need to clean it up. And this roll here, it's about $11.99, but there's so many pieces you're going to use to do things, and this is one of the things we're going to use it for right here. Let me put this down here, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a strip of butyl tape on the four edges of the panel with the switches. We have it all the way around, and now all we have to do is take off the white part of the tape and expose the butyl tape, and then we're ready to put it on the hole there. Okay, and this is the inline fuse that we put in between, and if you ever need to change it, you have to open this little cap, and there it is right there. And I think this one is a 10 amp. Yeah, it's a 10 amp fuse on there now, and this covers it and keeps it waterproof. So now we're ready to put it back in place, and here we go. There's one thing I like is always to have extra cable, because boat manufacturers have that thing that every time you need to pull something out to replace it, you only have a little piece of wire this long, and you can't work with it. So every time I put something in there, I give it like about 5 to 6 inches extra, so that way you could take it out in the future and work with it without having to break something. So here we go, we're putting everything back in. And one thing about the butyl tape, it's gonna hold, it's gonna adhere, but you could always take it off if you need to. The way it is right there, you probably don't even need any screws or anything, because it's gonna hold itself in place. But I'll put the screws there, and the holes are already made for the screws, so we're just gonna go ahead and put the screws in. That's it. Okay. Oh yeah. Let me see if we can get in. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, that's going to happen. So you know it's working. When you press this button to test and it works like that, you know the system is good and everything is working properly. So what we're going to do from now on is that every time we go out boating, there's an arm, there's an off, and a test. So when we go boating, we'll just go ahead and test it, make sure it's working, and then once we put it in the water, you put it on arm, and it's armed right now. So if any water gets into the bilge that we don't know about and it goes that high, that means there's a problem. This is going to sound off and alert you that there is water coming into your bilge. I mean, what peace of mind more than that? I mean, that's something everybody should have. Stay tuned. All right guys, we are finaled. Everything is working fine. You can see the new pump, and the little black box behind it is the sensor for the high water sensor. And then we have the white hose going through there next to the old one there, the existing pump, which is going to be the main pump. Now we have this backup pump, and then we go all the way here, and then I'll turn around the other way here so you can see where it ends up, and it's right at the end there. And that's the new fitting, through hole fitting that we made the hole for. And so we're all complete. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope this video helps everyone. And I think this is something that everyone should have in their boats. And they say, and I've heard things in the internet saying that 26 or larger boats are required to have it. But in my opinion, I think every boat should have it. So I hope this video helps. Thank you so much for watching. Peace. All right guys, I have my son here. He's the one that helped me to install this high water alarm. And let me tell you something, that wiring for the alarm and the sensor and the switches, everyone online has a lot of complaints with this company that the wiring instructions they include in the box is not the right instruction. And my son here, he said, I have an idea. I think I know exactly how it's gonna go. And what happens is, we tried it for the first time on the battery before we even installed anything, and he got it right on the first shot.
You nailed it.
Now is a great time to like and subscribe. All you have to do is click on the subscribe button below. It's free, and you'll be part of the Keys Boating Channel family. Thanks so much for your support.